Okay, let's unpack this. We're living in a world, right, that just feels more connected than ever. Constantly getting notifications, messages, updates, from everywhere, all the time.
And yet, loneliness, it's not going away. In fact, the sources we looked at, they're calling it an epidemic, a public health crisis even.
That framing is so important, yeah, because the research, it's pretty stark. It really hits home the scale of this.
How stark are we talking?
Well, the stats show the health risks. They're comparable to smoking, like up to 15 cigarettes a day, or obesity. It's not just feeling a bit sad. It has real physical and mental consequences.
Wow, 15 cigarettes. That really puts it into perspective. So, okay, our mission today then is to dig into this paradox. Why do we feel more alone when we're supposedly so connected? And, what can we actually do about it?
Exactly. We've gathered insights from all sorts of places: psychological research, public health reports, well-being guides, sociological stuff, trying to get the full picture. Right. So the goal is to sort of distill what these sources tell us. What's the difference between being alone and feeling lonely? What are the roots of this feeling, especially now? And then, give you some practical evidence-based ways to foster real connection, from personal habits right up to community action.
That's the plan. Understanding it first, then finding solutions.
All right, let's jump in. The sources make a big deal about defining loneliness correctly, right? It's not just being by yourself.
That's absolutely critical. Loneliness isn't about the number of people you know or see. It's that subjective feeling disconnected. Like there's a gap between the relationships you have and the ones you want or need.
Okay, so it's internal. What about social isolation then?
That's the other side of the coin. Isolation is more objective. It's the actual lack of social ties or contact.
So you could be, say, living alone, maybe not seeing many people, but feel totally fine, not lonely, even if technically isolated.
Precisely. Or the opposite, you could be surrounded by people, maybe at work or parties, lots of acquaintances, but feel deeply lonely because those connections lack meaning for you. That classic alone in a crowd feeling.
Got it. And it's that feeling, the loneliness part, that carries the heavy health risks.
Yes. That subjective distress is what triggers the biological responses. It ramps up stress hormones, and the sources link it directly to higher risks of anxiety, depression, heart disease, stroke, even dementia, and dying prematurely. That smoking comparison, it's not an exaggeration. It signals a serious health hazard.
It really does. Makes sense why it's being treated like a public health issue globally.
Absolutely.
Which brings us back to that puzzle. Why, in this age of instant global communication, why are loneliness levels reportedly so high? What's going on?
It's definitely a paradox the sources explore. Digital connection is amazing in many ways, right? Keeping families in touch across distances, finding niche communities.
Sure, finding support groups online, things like that.
Definitely. But the research suggests these online connections can sometimes be, well, shallower.
Shallower how? What's the mechanism there?
A few things seem to be at play. One is that relying heavily on online chat, for example, might replace the kind of face-to-face interaction that releases hormones like oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's just a different neurological experience.
Doesn't give you that same warm, fuzzy feeling, maybe?
Kind of, yeah. And the sources also mention that constant digital interaction, especially seeing everyone's curated best life online, can fuel social comparison, feelings of inadequacy. Plus, it might actually hinder practice with tricky in-person social skills.
Like reading body language.
Yeah.
Or dealing with awkward silences.
Exactly. Or navigating conflict without hiding behind a screen. If the digital world becomes a substitute for real-world connection instead of just adding to it, that's where the risk of isolation increases.
It's like you're getting a stream of social media likes, but missing out on a real deep conversation, like snacks instead of a proper meal.
That's a good way to put it. And it's not just digital. The sources point to bigger societal shifts, too.
Like what?
Well, data suggests that compared to a few decades ago, people are generally spending less unstructured time just hanging out with friends and family. And participation in community things like volunteering has apparently seen a decline over time.
Less volunteering, really? That feels counterintuitive somehow.
The long-term trend data points that way. Add to that other shifts. More people living far from extended family, having fewer kids, lower marriage rates. It means, for many, fewer automatic built-in social ties compared to, say, our grandparents' generation.
Okay, so the social fabric itself has changed.
In some ways, yes. And then, of course, life throws things at you. Major transitions can really knock your social network sideways.
Absolutely. Things like retirement.
Yeah.
Suddenly that daily workplace connection is gone.
Exactly. Or widowhood, losing not just your partner, but often a whole shared social world. And then declining health or mobility issues can just make it physically harder to get out and see people or do things, especially later in life. These are big risk factors.
And we absolutely have to mention the pandemic effect, right? The last few years changed everything.
Fundamentally, it's shifted how we interact. For some people, it created or reinforced the subconscious idea that being alone is safer, making it feel harder, maybe more anxiety-inducing, to jump back into busy social scenes.
Yeah, I can see that.
And sources note particular impacts on young people who are navigating key social development stages during lockdowns, and also on people who are immunocompromised and still need to be cautious in ways that limit spontaneous socializing.
Okay, so we've got the definition straight, lonely versus alone. We see the serious health risks. And we've explored some complex roots, digital paradox, societal shifts, life events, the pandemic. It sounds pretty daunting.
It can feel that way, but the really crucial message from all the sources is that it's not hopeless. There are concrete things, evidence-based actions that make a difference.
Right, so while those big systemic things matter, there's a lot you can actually control yourself. There's a personal toolkit.
Exactly, and a big part of that is simply being proactive, making the effort to reach out and engage.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, the sources encourage going beyond just scrolling social media feeds. Things like scheduling regular video calls or phone calls are great, but they also highlighted something maybe a bit unexpected: the handwritten letter.
A letter, like with pen and paper, in this day and age. What's the thinking there?
It's about the intentionality, the effort. Sending and receiving something physical feels more significant, doesn't it, than just another ping on your phone. Plus, the act of writing itself, it can help you process your own thoughts, maybe find some gratitude. It's a slower, more tangible form of connection.
I like that, a tangible connection. Okay, what else?
Engaging with communities. This comes up again and again, both online and, really importantly, in person. Finding groups based on shared interests, a book club, hiking, gaming, whatever you're into. Shared passion is a natural starting point for friendship.
And sometimes it doesn't even need to be a formal group, right?
Not at all. Just being present in public spaces.
Yeah.
Cafes, parks, libraries, community centers. Simply being around other people offers chances for those small, casual interactions. A quick chat, a shared smile. Those moments matter for your well-being, even if they don't lead to lifelong friendship.
Okay. That leads nicely into another really powerful strategy the sources emphasized: helping other people.
Ah, yes, volunteering. It's presented as this incredibly potent tool against loneliness. Why?
Yeah.
Because it gives you a strong sense of purpose, gets you engaged in something outside yourself. That really helps buffer against feeling down or isolated.
Shifts the focus outwards.
Exactly. And you're connecting with other people who care about the same things you do. That shared mission or value creates an instant bond. The sources even talked about finding your calling through volunteering, driven by things like caring, curiosity, passion, a desire to heal, or finding purpose.
So if you're specifically looking to volunteer to feel less lonely, how do you make sure it actually helps with social connection?
Good question. Be intentional. Maybe talk to the volunteer manager about roles that involve teamwork or interacting with people, not just solo tasks. Look for opportunities with regular meetups or social events. And hey, the sources even suggest getting creative. If you have a skill, maybe you could start your own small volunteer group, teach a workshop, start a local support group.
Interesting, taking initiative. And beyond formal volunteering.
Simple acts of kindness count too. Running an errand for an elderly neighbor, mentoring a younger person. It all builds connection.
Okay, so outward actions are key. But what about the internal stuff? The thoughts and feelings that come with loneliness?
Crucial. The sources stress working on your mindset, especially challenging those negative thoughts that can spiral when you feel lonely.
Like what kind of thoughts?
Oh, nobody likes me, I'll never make friends, I'm destined to be alone, that kind of thing. The advice is to first identify those thoughts, then really question them. Ask yourself, is that 100% true? What evidence do I have against it?
Like being your own detective.
Sort of. And then try to gently reframe them into something more balanced and realistic. Instead of, I'll never make friends, maybe something like, making friends takes time and effort, and I'm willing to try.
Being kinder and more rational with yourself.
Exactly. And just general mental health hygiene is vital too, because loneliness is stressful. Things like meditation or mindfulness can help manage that stress. Exercise is huge for mood and stress hormones, and if you do it in a park or gym, bonus connection potential.
Right, and the basics.
Don't neglect them. Enjoying small daily pleasures, getting enough sleep, eating reasonably well, these build your baseline resilience. They help you cope with tough emotions like loneliness without falling back on unhealthy coping mechanisms like too much alcohol or comfort food, which just make you feel worse in the long run.
Makes sense.
Oh.
The sources also mentioned acceptance, didn't they?
Yes. Accepting that feeling lonely sometimes is just part of being human. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It's okay to feel it. It's okay to miss people. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's acknowledging the reality so you can put your energy into the things you can change.
Okay. Now, there were two really powerful concepts that kept coming up as vital for deeper connection: vulnerability and empathy.
Yes, absolutely fundamental. Vulnerability, it often gets a bad rap, seen as weakness, but the research flips that. It frames vulnerability as the foundation for real trust and intimacy.
So what does it mean in practice?
It means being willing to show your authentic self, sharing your feelings, your fears, your imperfections, asking for help. It's about taking off the mask.
That definitely takes courage, especially when everyone online seems so perfect.
It really does. But the payoff is huge. The sources say it directly fights loneliness by fostering genuine connection. It deepens relationships, builds resilience because you realize you're not alone in your struggles, and even boosts self-awareness. When you risk being vulnerable in a safe context, it often encourages others to do the same. It creates this positive feedback loop.
And to connect with someone who is being vulnerable, or just connect deeply in general, you need empathy.
Empathy is the bridge. It's that ability to truly understand and share someone else's feelings, to step into their shoes, so to speak. The sources talk about both feeling with someone that's effective empathy and intellectually understanding their perspective, cognitive empathy.
Why is empathy so crucial for tackling loneliness?
Because feeling understood, feeling seen and cared for is at the heart of connection. Empathy allows us to really hear people, validate their experience, that builds strong bonds, intimacy, trust. It helps resolve conflict because you can see the other side. Lack of empathy. That creates distance, misunderstanding, isolation. Empathy feeds that basic human need for connection and support.
So how can you, get better in empathy? What do the sources suggest?
Active listening is number one. Really paying attention, not just waiting to talk. Acknowledging feelings, wow, that sounds really frustrating. Asking open-ended questions. Reflecting back what you heard, so if I understand right, you're feeling. Making eye contact, also consciously trying to take their perspective. Validating their emotions, even if you don't agree with their actions. And sometimes sharing your own vulnerability appropriately can build empathy too.
Okay. Any specific tools mentioned?
Yeah, they mentioned its importance in things like therapy, obviously, but also in everyday conflicts, prioritizing the relationship over being right, and using methods like OFN, observations, feelings, needs. It's a way to communicate during tricky conversations. Instead of blaming, you state your objective observation, when X happened, how it made you feel, I felt Y, and the underlying need that wasn't met, because I need Z.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of yelling, "You never listen to me," maybe try. "When I see you looking at your phone while I'm talking observation, I feel unheard and a bit hurt. Feeling, because connecting with you and feeling listened to is important to me. Need." It opens the door for understanding, not just defensiveness.
That sounds much more constructive.
It aims to be. And like with vulnerability, the sources also advise managing your empathy. Understanding others is great, but you need self-care too to avoid getting emotionally drained.
Right. Balance. Okay, so we've got this powerful personal toolkit: outreach, helping others, internal work, vulnerability, empathy. But this isn't just an individual fix, is it? The sources talk about broader approaches.
Absolutely. Given the scale and health impact, it has to be tackled as a public health issue. And we are seeing that shift globally. Governments, organizations, they're starting to use population-level strategies.
Like figuring out who needs help the most.
Exactly. Using data, sometimes literally mapping areas where loneliness risk factors are high based on age, health, living situation allows services to be targeted, connecting vulnerable people with practical support, mental health resources, or social programs.
And training people on the front lines to spot loneliness.
Yes, especially in healthcare.
Yeah.
Doctors, nurses, pharmacists, people who see individuals regularly, training them to ask about social well-being, not just physical symptoms. There are programs like PALS Pharmacy addressing loneliness and social isolation. Pharmacists doing things like adding handwritten notes to prescriptions for isolated seniors or helping set up pen pal schemes.
A handwritten note from your pharmacist. That's a lovely, simple touch. Shows connection can come from unexpected places.
It really does. And then there's this growing model called social prescribing.
Social prescribing. Tell me more.
This is where doctors or other healthcare workers actually connect patients with non-medical community support. So instead of just pills, they might prescribe joining a walking group, an art class, a community garden project.
So doctors are literally prescribing community activities as treatment.
Basically, yes. And the evidence, especially from places like the UK's National Health Service, is really promising. It shows reductions in loneliness, improvements in mental health, and it can even decrease the use of other health services.
Right.
So it makes economic sense, too. It really frames social connection as vital for health.
Wow. Okay. What about preventing loneliness in the first place? Raising awareness.
Public campaigns are definitely part of the picture. Things like Canada's GenWell weekends or Talk to a Stranger Week, nudging people towards connection. Australia has Neighbours Every Day, encouraging local connection. And there's a growing focus on youth loneliness, too, with specific campaigns and resources like text helplines in some countries.
And creating actual physical spaces for people to connect.
Yes, that's important, too, especially for specific groups. The Men's Sheds movement is a fantastic example. Workshop spaces, mainly for older, often retired men, to work on projects together, building things, fixing things. It's that shoulder-to-shoulder interaction, less direct chat, more activity-based connection, which suits some people better, plus purpose and social ties.
Makes sense. And for all this to really work on a large scale, government needs to be involved, right?
Absolutely. National level recognition means coordinated strategies, dedicated funding, and efforts to reduce the stigma around loneliness. We're seeing this now. The UK, Japan, Denmark have national strategies. The US Surgeon General put out a major advisory. The World Health Organization is launching a commission. It's becoming a global policy issue.
It definitely sounds like the momentum is building beyond just individual self-help.
It is. And one last point the sources make in this bigger picture context is the value of momentary connections.
Momentary connections, you mean like chatting briefly with the barista?
Exactly like that. Or someone at the bus stop. The research suggests these small, fleeting interactions actually add up. They contribute to our sense of well-being and belonging in that moment.
Huh. Never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, things like well-designed public spaces, libraries, parks, community centers facilitate this. Even specific initiatives like chat benches in parks or designated chat checkouts in supermarkets. They might not forge deep bonds, but they combat that feeling of invisibility and remind us we're part of a shared social world.
So even the tiny interactions count. It shows our social lives are really dynamic, happening on all these different levels.
They really are. And knowing those brief moments matter might make us more open to them as we go about our day.
Okay, so bringing this all together. Loneliness is complex, it's serious, it has real health impacts, and it's driven by this mix of digital life, societal changes, personal events. Affects everyone.
But, and this is the key takeaway, there's real hope in concrete action. The solutions range from that deep personal work, changing thoughts, being vulnerable, practicing empathy, finding purpose, all the way up to community programs and national strategies, treating connection like the public health priority it is.
It's not just about having people around, is it? It's the quality of those connections, being willing to be real, making the effort to truly see others.
Exactly. It takes both individual intention and systemic support. From how we talk to each other one-on-one to how we design our towns and cities, every level plays a part in building a genuinely more connected world.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up this deep dive. If those momentary connections do matter, if our social world is this fluid thing, what's one small intentional step you could take today? Maybe reach out to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, engage in a community space, or just be open to a brief, genuine chat with a stranger, knowing that even that small moment could make a difference.
Yeah. It makes you wonder about the ripple effect of those seemingly small actions, doesn't it? Especially when facing a challenge this big.
Food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.